Important conversation for the next few days. The 5th Global Conference on the Elimination of Child Labour is taking place down in Durban from the 15th to the 20th of May this year. Over 160 million children are still in child labour today. The aim of the conference is to try and reach the necessary steps to help reach those United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and eliminate child labour in all its forms by 2025. Let's see how close we are to getting this right. Siyabonga Hadebe Labour Attaché at the South African Permanent Mission in Geneva, joining us this afternoon here on Today on eNCA. Siyabonga, hello to you. Such a complicated issue and quite a lofty target. Some people are saying to eliminate this by 2025. Let's start there first. We'll talk about how bad it is now. 2025, within 3 years, to abolish child labour. Is that even possible?
I think, Gareth, what is important is not so much to eliminate, as in a classical sense, but what is important for us and all of us involved in this space is to show that we are making the steps, whatever steps that are necessary, and thinking about the process going forward. That's what is needed, because you'll remember that the emergence of COVID in the past 2-3 years has really set us back a number of years, because it has decimated economies, livelihoods, and displaced so many workers and created more problems in the child labour space. So we've got a big problem.
I'm seeing reports as well that one of the biggest regions that's of concern, Siyabonga, and I'm sure you'll agree, is the African continent as well. How do we begin to look at that? I know that the International Labour Organization, very concerned about Africa. It's being hosted down in Durban. I imagine Africa is a big focus.
Yes, this is a big concern. This comes out of a study that was conducted by the ILO together with UNICEF that was produced last year in June, which showed that in as much as we are making progress as the global community in dealing with the scourge, we are taking major steps backwards. And Africa was found to be the region with the worst problem of child labour. And I think we need to contextualize this, because child labour is not an independent variable. It's part of many variables that is that can be explained in a complex way, in more ways than one. For example, Africa languishes at the bottom of all human development indices in the world. So that is the start of where we are. Africa has got some of the longest prolonged conflicts in the world, and also in terms of its structural positioning in global production, Africa is at the bottom, meaning that it's the one that provides the raw materials, and you'll find that our countries in the African continent, they sometimes rely on a single commodity, which makes us a little bit vulnerable whenever it comes to this. So we are the feeder of the economies of the world, but we are the ones that are suffering. So in as much as there is progress elsewhere, there is chaos in other parts of the world. That's the reason why Africa finds itself in the position that is at right now.
I think you've summed it up very nicely with the word chaos, because I think it's exactly what's happening on the African continent. So help me understand, and Siyabonga, give me your thoughts. Where do we start with this? Because when we talk about multifaceted and child labour, this is going to be, without a doubt, a multifaceted approach. So we have to bring in organisations like government, trade unions, the private sector, civil society, international organisations. Where and who does the buck stop with at the end? I immediately want to lean towards government. Where do you think is the most influential player in this conversation?
Well, this is one of the most important conferences that one will ever find, because it brings everybody to the table. Governments, as you said, governments, labour, business, everybody's down here in Durban, and some people will be connecting online. So it's not so much about who has to take the blame, but it's about all of us putting our heads together to see what can be done to deal with the problem. So starting with issues of poverty, low economic growth, ending conflicts, this is where we need to start, and making sure that the livelihoods of families are guaranteed. And one of the ways that we think this can be done is to make sure that we extend social protection and allow money to flow into families so that kids don't have to come out of their homes to work. But also we need to make sure that the labor standards are met, the labor conditions are met. And in our case, with the national minimum wage in place, we hope that we can improve decent work. But all of this is not going to happen without everybody coming onto the table. That's why we rely on social dialogue as the labor market, so that all parties can come together. So there is no one to be blamed. I do not wish to use the word the buck will stop with this person, but all of us have got a role to play. Even people at home, they need to play a role, because the biggest issue that we have is that in instances where the child labor exists, there is evidence that those cases are not even reported at all. So we rely on the information that the public gives so that we can act accordingly with the assistance of the law enforcement authorities.
It's going to be a very interesting 5 days. We're going to follow the conference very, very closely. Siyabonga, I appreciate your time in speaking to us this afternoon. Siyabonga Hadebe Labour Attaché at the South African Permanent Mission in Geneva. It is the 5th Global Conference on the Elimination of Child Labour, taking place down in Durban from the 15th, so that's tomorrow, until the 20th of May. Now,